How much money do you need to retire trading options? In this video, I'm going over 3 real examples with my personal clients. I'm going to tell you how much money they're making with option trading. First student that I have named Mohammed, he has a $25,000 portfolio. Now Mohammed's goal is to retire with option trading. However, because he's starting with $25,000, it's not a whole lot of money, but he is a doctor. He's making over $10,000 a month. So his goal right away was to make over $2,000 per month with his $25,000. I told him that if we can do that, then he should definitely add more money. He agreed. So the first 3 months, his first month was $1,700 that he made in profit by basically selling options. Now for me, I thought this was a big success. Our second month was around $1,400. We made a couple of mistakes, so we didn't make as much the second month. And the third month was actually $3,000, so we kind of blew it out of the water. Now he's adding more money to his portfolio, and he is adding about $4,000 to $5,000 per month in his portfolio. So I told him, look, the goal here is to take $25,000, continue to make between $2,000 to $3,000 while you're adding money, because obviously as you keep adding money into your portfolio, that is going to scale and your monthly return is going to increase. So Mohammed's a really busy doctor, so he's only looking at my trades for 30 minutes per week. The thing is, a lot of people think that you need to trade a lot more. You don't. 30 minutes per week is perfectly fine. That's all you really need if you're selling covered calls and selling puts, which is what I told Mohammed. That's all he needs. He doesn't need to do anything else. He doesn't need to do spreads. He doesn't need to do iron condors. He doesn't need to do any buying strategies. For him, because he has a solid income, $25,000 portfolio, which is now over $30,000, he is going to scale that to 6 figures in the next 6 months. So that is one of the most simple case scenarios. Second student I'm working with, Jim. Jim has a $150K portfolio. Now he has been with me for about a year now. So he started with $150K and that portfolio has been steadily growing. However, he has had some really major pullbacks. Now the reason why Jim has had pullbacks, by the way, is because he's doing strategies that are a little bit more aggressive. He's a little bit more in a hurry because he is over 60 years old. So he wants to go from $150K to $1 million in the next 2 years, which I told him is really aggressive. Now Jim does have an income. He is making about $5,000 per month, which is not that much because you're trying to go from $150K to $1 million, but hey, we have no choice but to speed up his results. So what we are focusing on there is implementing more spreads. I told Jim that what he wants to do is basically have between 15 to 20% of his money in spreads. Now, I told him that he needs to split that apart. He can't just be in put credit spreads. He also just can't be in call credit spreads, because what happens is if the market falls down, your put credit spreads get hurt. If the market goes up, like the kind of market we're in right now, and you see stocks going parabolic like Nvidia, and you're short, well, you are going to get hurt. That's why I'm basically working with position sizing with him, as well as taking aggressive but appropriate risks. However, the good news is he wants to get to $1 million, but his monthly income goal is only $7,500 because he's already making $5,000 per month. He said that in his retirement, he basically wants to produce $7,500 per month, which is roughly $90,000 per year. He said with $90,000 per year, he'd be more than happy because he does own his house. He goes on vacations here and there, but his wife is a lot younger than him and she is still working. So for him, his target number is $90,000 per year. And I told him that he can easily get there because even in the first 3 months that we were working with $150K, we have made around $7,000 per month. So we have already hit that. But the thing is, of course, last year, although it wasn't a huge bull year, it was a good year. So I was just telling him, yes, we're hitting your target, but you can't just extrapolate into the future and think, oh, every month is going to be like this, because that is not the case. And yes, we actually made $7,000. One month was like $6,800, another month was $7,200, and then the third month was like $6,300 and $6,386 or something like that. It was like $6,300 and change. He is basically hitting his target or very, very close to it. But I told him, you need to be more consistent. And honestly, one of the biggest things to being more consistent is time and adding more money to your portfolio. So Jim can't necessarily put away too much money because he has bills. His mortgage is paid off, but he's helping out with his kids and stuff like that. I won't get into the personal situations or obviously mention any last names or anything like that. But what he's trying to do is he wants to put away about $1,000 per month, which I told him is fine. Okay, if you can put away $1,000 per month, that does add up, because in the next 2 years, if you put away $1,000 per month, it's $12,000 per year. As we scale the $150K portfolio, if we're getting 5% maybe or 6% per month, then he's going to be making $7,000 to maybe even $8,000 or $9,000 per month. With him, we have to be more aggressive. Unfortunately, a lot of you guys, if you are 50, 55, 60, you don't have time on your side, but you have experience on your side. You probably have a good income on your side. You also have cash on the side, which you can invest into your portfolio. So the benefit there is Jim is actually not using all his money. He just started off with 150K. A lot of my students start off with 20K, 25K, or 50K. We started last year 150K, and he has been making $7,000 a month his first 3 months. And then the rest of the months were basically a little bit up and down. His portfolio is over 220K now, which is really, really good. But he has had some mental challenges basically, because we've had a month that was down $3,000. We were investing in things like Tesla, and I was wrong on Tesla as well. I thought that we could catch Tesla under 200. It continues to go down at this time as I'm making this video, but I'm very positive that Jim's gonna continue. However, I'm gonna be honest, and I've told Jim myself that he's probably not gonna reach $1 million in 2 years, because going from like 150K to $1 million is over a 5x return. And I can only say that a small account can do that. And for me, I'd rather work with big accounts, just being honest with you. Clients that have, and students that have big accounts, it's way easier to work with them. They have passive, or they have active income that they can invest, where we can start generating passive income. And it's really just the numbers and a time game, and obviously a mindset game. We get that portfolio from 150K to 220. The next goal is to get to 300 and then to 350 and beyond. And we may not reach the $1 million goal because it is really, really big stretch. However, the good news is I'm very confident that with 300K, even if you're making 3% per month, that is $9,000 per month. So you can absolutely retire with an option trading portfolio that's $300,000. So I told Jim that, I'm like, look, I know you want to be a millionaire. I get it. It's definitely a good goal, but it's going to take you a little bit more than 2 years to do that. So how much do you really need to retire? With Jim, I think that number is a little bit over 300K, because with over 300K, again, 2 to 3% a month, easily $6,000 to $9,000. With Muhammad, he's going to take a lot more time, but doctors don't really want to retire right away because he is a fairly new doctor. So he's going to be making a lot of money into his career over the next 10 years. So I won't be surprised if Muhammad hits 3, 4, 5, maybe even $10 million over the next 2 decades, because it's really easy when you have time on your side, when you have a good income. Option trading is the best way to build wealth because it has the highest return. It can have high risk, but if you're using my strategies like the wheel strategy, covered calls and selling puts, then you are going to scale your portfolio without too much volatility. In fact, you can scale your portfolio safer than the stock market while achieving a higher return. So for me, the magic number is $300,000, or even a little bit higher, maybe $500,000. And you are pretty much good to start living a retiree lifestyle. However, I do have my third client, which I'm going to talk about. His name is Tony. Tony has $8 million, but me and him are personally working with just $1 million out of the $8 million. He has some money with a financial advisor who's charging him 1%. I told him, at the very least, just take your money away from the financial advisor, throw it into an index fund, okay? Because the index fund is probably gonna perform just as well as your financial advisor without the 1% fee, all right? He's still working on that. He still feels safe, okay? And that's fine. That's what financial advisors actually do. A lot of the times they just make you feel safe. They don't actually give you the good returns. So talking about the returns, we've been working with Tony, or I've been working personally with Tony for 4 months, because I did start my private client program. By the way, if you want my private client program, which is a retirement package, it is the first link in the description. I work with a few people. Right now we have 3 open spots. Go ahead, click the first link. If there's spots on the calendar, you can schedule in a free consultation to learn about working with me personally and getting into retirement, making a consistent income. So, so for my first client, smaller portfolio, making $2,000, we have a plan to get to $10,000 a month. Second client, we're very easily doing over $6,000 per month. And Tony himself, he has $1 million, and we are generating $30,000 per month. That's 3%. I know it's nothing crazy, but hey, he is generating really consistent cash flow. Again, our first month was slow. We made about $12,500. Then we real easily hit over $35,000, and now we're somewhere around the $28,000 mark. Third month, and I haven't checked this month, but he is on his way to doing really good stuff. Not the biggest returns, but what I really like is when we're working with bigger portfolios, 100K, 200K, it really easily starts to add up. All this income, even at 2 or 3% per month, is a really huge amount of money. So although Tony wants to get to $50,000 per month, and we will, I am very confident that we will, even having $30,000 per month, I feel like I'm doing my job as a coach fantastically. He's happy, and our only goal from here is to scale. And then obviously I want him to get some money away from the financial advisor into his own portfolio. I do not benefit because the way I charge is I charge a 1 flat fee. I don't charge anything monthly. I don't charge any percentages. I don't have a license. I don't want to do that anyways. I want to give people everything that they need. So I don't have any personal benefit from him taking the money from the financial advisor, but I want that for him because I don't like people that just pay money into the thin air, right? I mean, it's cool, I guess the economy is making the economy better, but I'm like, dude, save your money, stop paying the financial advisor. He has some retirement accounts as well. He has like a traditional IRA. He has some tax advantage accounts, which I said is fantastic. Manage it yourself, please. Because again, I've worked at Goldman Sachs. I've seen the performance of most financial advisors. They sound good, they're great salespeople, they're fantastic at cold calling and keeping you on the hook, but the honest truth is they don't really outperform the market. You will outperform the market if you keep it simple and invest in safe strategies. See, I just sneezed, which in my culture means that's true. If you are investing in safe strategies, for me, it's like seriously just 3. Sell put, covered call, wheel strategy. Those are the 3 strategies that I use for all my students that are trying to go from 6 to 7 figures or 7 figures to 8 figures. It might not be the fastest way, but it is the most consistent, safe, and passive way because obviously Tony, who has $8 million, he has a private business. I won't mention what he does, but his business took a lot of his time. He did end up selling it. That's how he accumulated so much wealth. He had like a couple $1 million, sold his business for 5 to 6 million, paid a bunch of taxes, and now he's been growing his wealth through the stock market because obviously when you have a large amount of capital, it is very easy to grow because you're now growing with the stock market. And we've had pretty good results, especially in January so far. He's had phenomenal results. He's had over, I think last time I looked, it was like 4.5%. So on $1 million, he is at that $45,000 mark for the past 30 days. So, I think how much you need to retire really just depends, like with my 3 case scenarios here, Muhammad, Jim, and Tony. So Muhammad obviously was gonna keep working 10 to 20 years because he's a doctor. It doesn't make sense for Muhammad not to work. Jim is really, really close to retiring, so he wants to get out ASAP. But he he had a divorce, so he's a bit under schedule. He's a bit under schedule with 150K. I think he has some money on the side there, but it's probably like 20, 30K. So it's definitely not enough to retire. We're working really hard with him to get into that retirement zone, which I think for him will be 300 to 500K in portfolio value, because again, 2 to 3%, we should be able to hit $10,000 a month. Of course, you can hit $10,000 a month with like less capital, but it's not going to be safe. Like I'm never going to tell a student of mine that you can retire with $100,000. You can, but you better be going to a really cheap country. I've traveled all over the world. I'm in Dubai. I have a penthouse right now. I like to live nicely. I don't spend on like crazy materialistic things. I don't have nice watches. I don't have, all this Gucci, Louis Vuitton, a little bit here and there, but I am pretty frugal for the most part. I like spending money on experiences. So depending on how you want to live your life into retirement, are you going to be helping out your kids? Are you going to be helping out your relatives, right? I have a lot of students of mine that, majority of my students are 50 years old. That's the average age. And they have kids that they're still putting through college, that they're paying for that college education. So even if you're making a lot of money with option trading, I mean, I have students that are doctors, lawyers, dentists. Those are like some of the most successful students I have because those professionals typically have a really good mindset. They have a really good work ethic. Not that you need to have a lot of work in the market. Again, in my retirement packages, it's just 30 minutes a week. That's all you really need. You need 30 minutes a week to generate $10,000 a month. But the thing is, you need to have a good mindset. So it's not really what we do in that 30 minutes. It's what you don't do in your spare free time, right? You can go to the gym, have a fantastic workout, right? You can get some muscles. But if you go home, you start eating a tub of ice cream and you start eating chocolate and you start eating like burgers and fries and pizza. Well, your gym session, it doesn't matter how amazing it is. If you are not having a whole plan around your nutrition, you are going to have a bad body. You're going to be overweight, obese, whatever, health issues. You're not going to be in really good shape. And the same thing applies for trading. It is really, I have strategies that will work. But to be honest, guys, a lot of the things I put out on this YouTube channel are already free. The only point of the retirement package is because I will personally hold you accountable. It's not really any secret private information. Because option trading has been around for a very long time. Yeah, there's a little bit of secrets and nuances and a little bit of sauce that maybe you don't know. But honestly, a majority of it is having a plan that you execute on and then having accountability. And also not making mistakes. Because so many people, they'll see a stock, they get emotional, and then they end up losing a ton of money on it. And then they start chasing their losses to make the money back. And look, I've had a little bit of a tough January, but again, I'm keeping that long-term perspective. I am retired. I am not working for money right now. I like money. I spend money, I donate, I have expenses, I like to help people around me, but I'm not really working for money. And for me, I am in the retirement area, which is probably where you want to get to. This is why exactly I'm making this video. For me, I will be like the fourth case study. For me, that number was $700,000. When I hit $700,000, I just started traveling the world, because for me, more money did not equate to more happiness. I really wanted to date. I wanted to meet a good partner that I can settle down with. I wanted to see the world, because I've been living in Philadelphia my whole life with poor background. You guys have heard my story, so I won't go there. For me, that number was $700,000, because at $700,000, even if I hit just 1%, it is $7,000 a month. Obviously, I've never really made 1% per month. I've far exceeded that. In most months I make 3, 4, 5%. I have a smaller portfolio where I'm making 10 to 15%. But again, the smaller portfolio stuff is a lot more stressful. I prefer all day to work with my students that are more in that retirement area, where you have $25,000 and above to invest, ideally 50 to 100K. At that point, super easy to really get into that retirement area in 3 to 5 years. If you're saving money, putting it into the strategies, following my trades, getting accountability, you're in retirement area 3 to 5 years. You can keep working if you wish, but above 300K, you can start thinking about living a lower level retired lifestyle. 700K, you have that medium level. You can start traveling. And then I would say $1 million plus, you are making above average American income, okay? So well above average, 6 figures per year. You can travel, you can give back to charity, you can have hobbies, you really don't need to work. And that's why sometimes, I'm just taking a whole week off. I still have, students that I work with, but I don't really count that as work, as I do really enjoy working with people, I enjoy helping. That's my only mission and purpose that I have in my life. I'd literally probably be, I don't know if I can mention the word, but I'd probably not want to really live, if you get what I'm saying, if I didn't have this work, because I really wouldn't know what to do. And it's really not fun just aimlessly walking around and just traveling the world. I know it sounds cool, it sounds like I'm bragging, but I've seriously been around. I went to every single good restaurant, I've stayed in every single hotel, I've driven all the fast cars. I just really don't have anything that I feel super passionate about besides helping other people get into the retirement zone. Because once you get into the retirement zone, you stop worrying about the problems, like the low level problems. You start focusing on higher level problems. What do you want to do? What do you want to contribute to this world? How do you want to leave an impact? And where do you really see yourself in the future? So that is how much money that you need to retire with trading options.